Well, hello there and welcome back to another video. So we are back with Advent of Code. This is day 22. It's called Monkey Map, and I have already solved part 1, but it was a mess of a solve. I did record it, but I think I'm not sure if uploading that video to YouTube. Maybe I will upload it and put it as unlisted. So if you want to check it out, check me out struggling for 2 hours to solve a pretty simple problem, I would say. You can check that video on the description, I guess. But anyway, part 2 of this is absolute madness. Is you basically have, I think I have everything open from last time. Yeah. So you have this weird kind of map. And in part 1, you have to travel along this map and wrap around when you reach an edge. But this map actually is like a 3D cube that's been unfolded into the map. It's like you put each face of the cube and you unfold it, and the actual input is also another unfolding of that cube, but in a different position, so you have different ways of unfolding a 3D cube. And I haven't even touched part 2 yet. I have been thinking about it a little bit in the back of my mind. I think I solved part 1 on Friday night or something, and yeah, I had the weekend to rest and think a little bit about part 2. But today, in this video, I don't want to start with part 2 yet, because part 1 is kind of a mess, the code, and I don't think it is a nice foundation to think about part 2. Excuse me for a second, I will close a door. And we are back. And since I am touching Meta W to pause the video, I entered a couple of W's there. But anyway, as I was saying, this code is in a state that I don't like. I was very unfocused when doing this for some reason. So today I am feeling a bit maybe better. I haven't been sleeping too well, to be honest, but I am as fresh as I will be, I think, in the foreseeable future. So I want to try out to refactor this code and simplify it as much as possible to have a good foundation, a reasonable part 1 solution, and have a good foundation for trying to tackle part 2. So that's what we are going to do today. I'm still trying out new sherbets, but I haven't been very lucky, and all the ones that I'm getting are very fine and get a bit stuck on the bombisha straw. I don't know those names in English. All right. So there are a couple of things that I don't like about this solution. We can try to, well, I have already run it. Well, we can clean up, of course, the unnecessary printing and things like that. I also don't really like having this direction enum. I thought that this was going to be a good idea, and we have this kind of constructing this direction from a number, and then turning left or right is doing some arithmetic, modular arithmetic on this thing as a number, and subtracting 1 you're turning left and adding 1 you're turning right, which is cute, clever, I guess, but I think it would be much better to have just 2 direction coordinates, direction X and direction Y. And I think that will probably simplify the code. So let's take a note maybe of that. Notes. Remove direction enum. Yeah, generally clean up things. This code for when advancing is quite messy. So I would like to also simplify that. Let's say simplify advancing code. No, I don't want to say. I had the muscle memory touching Control S. Advancing. What else? Well, advancing and wrapping around. Let's say also. Yeah, simplify. Wrapping around. I think within this wrapping around code, there is also calls to this get tile non-wrapping. Another complexity that I have on my solution, I don't know if it's going to be an improvement or not, is that I'm using one-based indexing, because the description used one-based indexing for rows and columns. But this complicates things a little bit, I think, because when accessing the 2D map, I have to like constantly be subtracting 1 from here and like remembering that. So I think let's maybe consider using zero-based indexing. And the last thing, what are the other enums? Well, we have things for tile. Well, there are these debug implementations that I think are not necessary. I don't know if that's introduced any errors. Parsing the map is alright, but parsing the instructions, I even left that to do last time. That this is I struggled a lot to parse this kind of string where you have to separate numbers and right, left letters. So I also would like to improve that. Improve instruction parsing. Okay, again I said Control S. And the worst thing about doing this Control S is that for some reason, I don't know, I think I have something bogus on my system, that you saw that the pop-up window didn't appear like on top of everything. It appeared on like behind the editor. But anyway, let's start general cleaning. So this print goes away. Is there any? Yeah, this other prints should go away too. Unnecessary braces. Well, why don't you remove them? Oh, wait, what was here? Oh, interesting. I was doing there. I didn't realize this. I opened the braces here, and I probably meant to use these braces. So that's an interesting mistake from before that I didn't notice. Already this is a bit tidier, I think. Let's run this again and check we're still getting the same solution. I think, yeah, I'm running this with the actual input, and if I run the test still passes. The test is using the sample input. So what's next? Let's see. Remove this direction in. Let's try this thing. So direction. How about you go away? Bye bye. So now we have to fix this. So let's have two different variables, just as I have with position. I would prefer probably to have like a mutable position tuple or array of two elements, like with x and y, and another vector. Oh, sorry, like, well, two element value for direction that you start going right. But I think having something like that is not like Rust doesn't allow, for instance, to say, hey, position is position plus direction, for example. If you do this, well, now it's complaining about, yeah, this thing not existing. But yeah, you can see you cannot add integer, and this is also, even if you put explicit types here, say su8, su8, and again u8 here to be like super explicit, still this thing complains. It seems like this is something that would be nice to exist, but doesn't exist in current Rust. And if you use two-element arrays, same thing. So with tuples and arrays, you can compare them for equality. So that operator is like implemented, but other like arithmetic operations are not implemented, which I think is kind of a shame, because this, like, especially for arrays, which are all of the same type. I mean, all the values are of the same type. Having those operators like built in, I don't know, I think it's kind of a no-brainer, and it's especially like optimizable code. Like the compiler can probably vectorize that pretty easily. So I don't know, maybe it's something that's is going to be added to Rust later on. But for now, let's use plain old variables to have direction x and direction y, and turning left and turning right then will be a matter of, well, I wonder if I can do this kind of assignment. So you have this simple trick of doing like to rotate, and like think about going right when it's going right, like now it is 1 0. So turning, actually I was thinking of turning right. Turning right, the x will become like, the y will be minus x, and the x will be y, I think. So let's think, if you start at 1 0, let's think it in a comment here. 1 0, it will become 0 minus 1, which is correct. Like that is pointing down. Then this, if you turn it right again, it will become what? Minus 1 0, which is right. Is going left, and well, if you do it once more, you will get 0 1, which is up. So this seems reasonable, and it seems like the Rust accepts this syntax, so it's nice. We can do this to avoid having like a having to declare a temporary variable for this, which is nice. And when you are turning left, let's think about the same example. When we are pointing right, we want to convert this into up, and then this should convert to left. So I guess well, x can be x is going to be minus y. You can see here that this x is the minus y of this, and y will be x, I think. So here, yeah, this converts into this, and this goes to this. Yes, okay. I think this seems right to me. Then we want to advance, and this is the thing that should get simpler. We don't need to do this matching. We can just say, well, actually new x is going to be x plus dx and y plus dy. And Oh, I guess this is inferring these things to be usize, which will complain here. These things should not be of type usize, they should be signed, because we want negative numbers here. So we are going to fix that. Let's fix it later on. I guess it's probably assuming that these things are of type usize because of where we are using them in this wraparound. We are using it here. So I think probably want to change these things to be signed integers and do all of the arithmetic in signed integers, and only when accessing the map we are going to convert to usize, I think. That makes some sense to me. So let's here have these two things be, I don't know, 32-bit integers seem right? Yeah, this shouldn't be very big values. So I guess these also, we're going to need this to be as I32. So this is correct. Now this doesn't complain when doing this, so it's now inferring the right thing. Now wrap around. Well, we no longer have direction, so let's simply change this to what we have. Does it make sense to pass tab tuples for this? I don't think so. Let's just pass the x I32 and the y of I32, and same thing here, the x dy. And for get tile non-wrapping, we are also going to have these here, but we want to subtract 1 from this and then convert these things to so the coordinates that we are passing here, if I remember correctly, some of them could be 0, like we can reach 0 and trying to advance when we are at position 1 and try to go to the left. So how do we do this? We can subtract 1. Let's say let's map x be x minus 1. All of this, I think if I say as usize, it's not going to complain, although I'm not sure if there is like a explicit way of saying, hey, I want this to wrap around. I think these as operators are defined that way, but let's ask Google. Rust convert signed integer to unsigned wrapping around. I don't think I don't think I want anything complicated, so let's pretend that this works and see what happens. So here we are already subtracting this, and for this then I will assume that this as operator has already taken care of. Is the most commonly used? Yeah. Turning pointers into addresses, blah blah blah. Yeah, you can turn this kind of things, which is nice. Any cast that can be performed via ascribing the type uses as stuff. Well, we can try and see what happens. Here we want to access this with map y, and then access the row with map x. And we want to still unwrap this and be empty if we are out of bounds. Seems reasonable, I think. Hopefully this thing will underflow when doing as operator underflow. There's probably a way of doing like into use size. Does this, for example? No, but there's probably a try into. Yeah, but you would have to. There's all of this wrapping arithmetic that I think. Let's leave it as it is now. You can try and see if it still works, and if it doesn't complain in debug mode, I will assume that this is correct. Anyway, we've changed this, and then what else do we have? This main code. Yeah, we'll have to convert this direction into. This is the only thing that the enum I think was more elegant, let's say. But we can say let's direction score. I don't know if the score is the correct word for this, like what we are calculating. Password. So well, let's say direction number. We're gonna match dx dy, and if it is right, then this is 0. Then if it is down, it's 1, if I remember correctly. 0 for right, 1 for down, 2 for left, blah blah blah. We could probably also implement this using the rotation logic that we coded here. But let's try not to be too clever. This should be up, and this is 1, 2, 3. And you don't like this because missing match arm. Yeah, because syntax. And you are probably going to complain about a non-exhaustive thing here, so let's say unreachable. Unexpected, whoops, I'm shouting, unexpected direction. Can I type maybe unexpected final direction? And something like this. And this should be direction number. Okay. Yeah, we have the this other call to turn left from the previous implementation of direction. I think this is more simply expressed as, well, minus the x and minus the y, but let's see what we are trying to do here. We're trying to go in the opposite direction, looping around. Yeah, so I think this probably can be expressed doing x, well, minus equal dx. So we are going in the opposite direction, and same thing for y. And this get non-wrapping thing, why are you complaining? Cannot find new x in this scope. What new x? Oh, I think where did new x come from? Actually, I am tripping. Like, what did I change here? We had direction. Oh, there was. No, sorry, what? Am I seeing the? No, I'm not. I'm not seeing the same code. Oh, this was assigned to a new thing. We were not mutating x and y yet. Yeah. Okay. So let new x be this, and let new y be this. This is still like not very pretty code, I think, but I'm just concentrating on the removal of the direction enum. We can then probably simplify this. So if this thing is empty, we have wrapped around, I guess. And this shouldn't be returning usize. This should be returning this kind of coordinates. Very good. And otherwise we do this. I guess here no, I guess this is the condition of, if this is not empty, then we just return the original xy. I think I would prefer to express this as if tile is not empty, then early return xy, and otherwise we're gonna do the wrapping around without the if condition. Although maybe I cannot do this because tile yeah, it doesn't have partial hue. You can have it. You can have it. Okay, is this compiling? Let's run the test. Didn't. So we're getting a huge number, but we are also having some errors. What were they? Yeah, the x, the y doesn't need to be mutable. I probably screwed something up. Yeah, because these things shouldn't be x and y. This is absolutely wrong. This should be dx and dy. What we are updating here when turning left to right. So now the warning goes away, and hopefully we get the same result, but we didn't. So it panicked. Failed assertion. Oh no, it panicked because of that thing. But if we run this thing, it finishes, but with different results. How good! That should have been a simple change, but I have already screwed it up. So I'm not exactly sure if these as conversions are working correctly. So I'm gonna do something. Let's say if x equals 0 or y equals 0. Let's have some debugging print here. Does it under flow? Let's just print these things. I guess I can put this here and print map x and map y. Don't you like this? Now you do. Let's do it with a test sample. Does it underflow? It looks like it does. Look at that huge number. So that should that was y being very long. So this get should be none, and then when we unwrap, we should be saying empty for that. So I don't think that that is the problem. Does this look alright? I think it does. Do I have to introduce the printing that I took out at the beginning? Janet, maybe I do have to. Let's check. Oh, actually, I think I added those removals. Yes. So, okay. Let's maybe print when we are advancing here. So let's say line advanced 2, and we can have x and y here. And here I think I want to say something like print line turns left, and let's print the new direction dx dy, just in case. Yeah, and we're gonna do the same here, I guess. Let's say it turns right. Okay, that should be quite a bit of debugging. So we start, we were starting at position 9, I think. Let's take a look at the sample. Advance to 11, so we advance to 10, which is this. No, here it says column. Okay, here it's column 1. This is column 9. I'm looking at the editor here. This is column 10, to which we have advanced, then 11. I guess then it hits and we turn right, so it's gonna be going down, and oh, we are printing this turn right after oh, before we updated, so I think I want to print these things after. Let's run again. Turn right, so now it's pointing down. Oh, look at that. Now we turn right, this is now pointing up, so we got something wrong on the turning left or right. So I think I probably got them the other way around. So here we're turning, let's see, turning right. If we have 1 here, yeah, no, this should be 1. Yeah, I probably got the signs there wrong. Now the test passes, and if we run the actual thing, we get this, which I would guess, yeah, it was the correct answer. Okay, I got turning left and right the other way around. We can probably clean this again and take this out. And I think that was all of the print debugging that I had. No, the does it underflow is also, where is it? Okay, so that was removing the direction enum. Let's check the changes. My face is a bit big over here. So yeah, this in itself already looks nicer to me. This can probably be extracted into a function, but it's fine. It's also fine to be here, to be honest. The wrapping around is just, well, this also got simpler, even though I'm not 100% convinced about this code, it got simpler. This I even like better the new version. Like I like the change of using signed integers instead of unsigned ones for everything, and then converting to unsigned when accessing the actual map. And then we got rid of all this boilerplate enum. So yeah, this was a pretty good change. Let's add it. Let's go to notes, remove this. Now simplify the advancing code and the wrapping around code. I think these are probably going to be kind of in tandem with each other. So how do I want to express this thing? Here we are we are trying to advance. We are advancing, we are then wrapping around. Yeah, and then if it is a wall, when we have wrapped around, then we break, right? I actually don't think this is that bad now that I look at it with fresher eyes. The wrapping around code is maybe it's maybe a bit questionable, I think. The name of this function, getTile non-wrapping, is like very explicit on what it does. I don't think I like it that much, but it could be like getTile 2D or like directly or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. I think this is kind of okay. One thing that I particularly don't like that much is this kind of mutable variable here, which we don't need, right? Because when we wrap around, we could even say plus dx and plus the like do the advancing here, y plus vy, and this also works. But I think like then we are checking if this is a wall, but aren't we checking this? Yeah, so this thing only wraps the thing around, that does no wall checking or anything. So it's not that bad. It's not that bad. Right? I wonder if it would be better to say something like, yeah, because this wraparound cannot fail. The only way we break out of this loop is when we hit a wall, which makes sense. New x and new y here, I think, could be called like wrapped x and wrapped y or whatever. But yeah, I think that sort of the idea here is not too bad, but let's see. We are checking here get non-wrapping, and if it is empty, we have wrapped around. Otherwise we keep advancing. I feel like we are calling this get tile non-wrapping like in different places. That doesn't seem very logical. So what I would like to express is maybe saying something, hey, let new x and new y be something like try advance, where we pass our current things, try to advance this, and if it is something, then we advance, else we are gonna break out of this loop. Something like this. So this try advance will, well, probably as the name implies, like advance one in this direction and do the wrapping around, you know, like advance one considering the wrapping around, but if it hits a wall, it will be none, and well, if you could advance, then it's gonna be like an optional new x and new y. So this seems like something I would want. Let's have it here, and map. This should be a map, and return type is right here. So now, how do we do this? We can say something like, let's sketch it out. Get tile non-wrapping x plus vx and y plus vy. Let's tile. So out of bounds is basically the tile being empty. So we cannot be on an empty tile. I'm doing it very very explicit here, although it's, yeah, I don't know if this variable is necessary. But if we are out of bounds, we are gonna wrap around here. But I guess we can wrap around and end up assigning this tile, and then in the end we can say, hey, is this tile, like, it should be non-empty by now. If this is a wall, then return, oops, what did I do? If this is a wall, then return none. Otherwise, well, otherwise we should have the wrapped, yeah, the new x and new y. So I guess we have to have this into variables. This is going to be the new x. And this is going to be the new y. Why did I do a refactor for one and a manual refactor for the other? I don't know. So does this make some sense? We're gonna wrap around, and well, if we wrap around, I wonder if this actually makes more sense or not, because we are basically extracting what we were doing before. But let's continue and see where this leads us. So we do have the tile now, and we know it's empty. So we are basically in this part of the wrapping around. And in this previous code, we have these temporary x, y to like advance or go back in the other direction. Can't we say something like the new x while get tile non-wrapping, we have x and y. We don't want to change this x and y, so new x minus dx and new y minus dy, while this thing is not none, I want to say, but then we will have to assign this. So it's not so much a while, I think it's kind of a loop like we had before. Yeah, but the thing is that we have to do this. Hey, check this position, and if we go outside, like we cannot advance and then check. That's the kind of we have to try out a new position and then revert the change, or not do it if we are outside of bounds. which is kind of what we are doing in this example. This would change. We would have the tile of this get tile non-wrapping. Ideally, I think I would have only 2 calls of these, like the previous one that we tried here. And then, yeah, this would be let's opposite x be well, we are gonna loop, so I think we're gonna have something like this. Here we are doing this mutable thing. My cats are having a staring fight. I think I'm getting a bit. I get a bit into the mud as I was the last time I tried to code this. I don't know why I have so much trouble like thinking about these kind of conditions. So let's see. Here we want to go back until we find an empty thing, an empty tile. So in this code, what we are doing is we're starting at this x, y, and then doing the loop and early returning. This is basically the wraparound code. So isn't this basically what I want to do here? If we know now the thing is empty, can't I say something like new x, new y is wraparound? I think it's the same if I pass new x and new y here, or x and y, because we are going to go back anyways. So let's have but the tile, I would also like to have like what tile did I get? That's basically the difference of what I want to do. So many like mutable thingies being here. That's the kind of thing that I'm like questioning. Well, let's try this and see if it runs. It does run with the same results. So, no, wait, did I get the same result? I did, but why? Because here, when we wrap around, I think this worked for the sample, but no, it actually worked for the real input, right? But there's something that is missing. Like when we hit a wall after wrapping around, it's not going to be the same tile. So that's weird. That's very weird. Didn't the example have this case? It goes down. No, it goes here. So no, it seems like it doesn't. We don't have that case in the example, but here it shouldn't be this tile. It should be the tile that is at new x and new y. So it should be like this. But it's the same. Darn it. Get silent, not wrapping. Yeah, let's maybe wrap around. Like I also want to have like a mutable tile here, and inside of here I should assign that tile that is at new x and new y, which we have checked. That's the thing. We have checked. So what is it that we want to do? We want to loop and update the new x and new y, yeah, and the tile if the next like get tile non-wrapping is not empty. When it is empty, we stop the loop. So that's the logic. Yeah, that sounded correct in my head. Let's try to implement it. So we're gonna go from actually we're gonna need this outside. Mute x, mute y. It's basically the same thing as here. We can start even an xy. Why not? Oh no, actually we don't need these things. That's the thing. We don't need that. We can say, hey, let's this would be like the opposite x, like going in the opposite direction. So opposite x is new x minus dx. We're gonna have the same thing for, well, if I can type, opposite y is new y minus dy, and let opposite tile be get tile non-wrapping of opposite x and opposite y. All right, and then if the opposite tile is empty, then we are gonna break, and otherwise we are gonna update our things. So new x, new y are gonna be opposite x and opposite y, and tile is gonna be opposite tile. That's, I think, the logic that I want. If we test now, it is passing. Wraparound is not being used. And yeah, we only have now 2 calls to this get tile non-wrapping, which I think is like, it makes more sense, at least in my head. So these are like basically temporary variables to see if we can go back. Right? I think so, yeah. New x, new y. I wonder if there are better ways of calling this. It would be sort of the same if the wraparound code would give us the tile also. I wonder if it makes sense to leave that code. Like we can probably simplify this somehow. Was this the code in? Yeah. Yeah, we're saying, hey, if it is empty, breakout. I wonder if it is, if it makes more sense to have this wraparound do that. Like keep the thing, so we don't need so much bookkeeping variables here. Like we can just say, hey, new x, new y, and tile can be the result of wrapping this thing around. You can probably say that. So here in the wraparound, we will need to like extract this probably. Oh, but we need to bookkeep the current tile that we have. That's the thing. Okay, now let's probably leave it as this. And thinking if it, like how much sense it makes. If it is empty, then break, otherwise we do this. So many namings for this. We could probably even say something like, well, yeah, I want to express this in a better way. So we can say something like, hey, match this. If the thing is empty, then we break. Non-empty tile. If it's a non-empty tile, then we're gonna do something else. Here, opposite blah blah is like, I want to just inline this, new x minus dx and new x minus dy. And if it's a non-empty tile, then tile is gonna be this non-empty tile. New x is gonna, we can sort of like commit this. Yeah, I think that we try to go, and if it's empty, we break, and if it's not empty, we update these things. Yeah, I think this is all right, and we don't need this out of bounds variable. I like that the inlining added some parentheses that then the code analyzer complained about. And now it seems like we entered an infinite loop. So I wonder if this break is breaking out of where? Is it not breaking this loop? How did you put a name to a loop? Was it something like this? Not really, right? Is this the label of a loop? Yes, it seems. Sorry for the horrible naming, but I wonder if it's just that break. No, it was not. So I made a mistake somewhere. Does this run? Yes, okay, so this is correct. Yes. Oh, here I think I was passing new x and dy, so that's definitely an error. What if we fix this? Run again. Okay. Okay. It was a simple mistake. And yeah, the break is breaking out of the loop, not out of the match, which is like a very C-centric way of thinking of mine. And yeah, now we don't need the wrapping around code, which is like, it's all right. We could call this thing like wraparound. And after this, we know that the tile is non-empty, right? Yeah. Okay, so I should have compared the changes. I cannot undo that, but I can. No, actually, I haven't even committed this yet. So I wanted to compare the changes to see if this try advance was better than what we had before. But I think it is. It's a bit a longer function, but I think the logic here has become simpler to follow. Like when we say, hey, advance n times, we are going to say, well, n times do this try advance, and when this thing fails, we break because we hit the wall. And otherwise, yeah, we just keep going and we update the x and y in that way. So I would say that simplifying the advanced code is done, and the wrapping around code is, we basically inlined it here. So yeah, I would say that's nice. Again, I hit Control S. What else we have? The zero-based indexing. I think that change should be fairly straightforward, although I'm not sure if it makes any kind of difference now because we are using I32, but we can probably we can try it out. So instead of starting at 1, we can start at 0, 0. Well, here it's not 0, it's the first non-empty or the first open tile in the first row. So good. We're gonna have that. All of this logic is gonna be the same, except that here we're gonna say y plus 1 and x plus 1, and all of this should be the same except here where we don't need this. Whoops, we don't need this plus 1. We are just going to convert that. Can even inline it. Yes, how about this? Do we get the same results? Yes, we do. So, is this an okay change? I guess before we could call this x and y like column and row, call row, because that's what the one-based indexing actually meant. But yeah. It's not really a very interesting change, I think. Although I guess we don't have to make so many like conversions here when we are getting the tile. So yeah, this seems simpler. I think I prefer this. We can also maybe improve this unwrap here, like we are expecting one of these things to be here. So even the first row, we like this access here is maybe a bit questionable. Then we do need to do the iteration. If we put an expectation message here, it's gonna probably wrap around the line, but let's say first row should have an open tile. Sure. Oh, and then we have this parsing code. But I think, yeah, using zero-based indexing, now that we got rid of any possible underflows before accessing the map, because we are working with signed integers, I think this makes sense. Maybe separate this a little bit. So, yeah, I'm okay with this. And finally, we have to improve the instruction parsing. I hope to not get swamped again. So let's try to remember what we were doing. Yeah, we were doing this split inclusive, which is kind of horrible way. With this, like we are converting here this string. The split inclusive is going to give us like 10R, 5L, 5R, and so on. And the last thing will be 5 or 5 new line, I think it is. So we then have like two cases, like if it ends with L or R, and we do different things here, accumulating in our results. This is, yeah, it's kind of ugly. I guess we could have something like, hey, when it ends with L or R, we could have something like yeah, even here we know that this already starts with this, so I think doing this is kind of unnecessary too. So I wonder, let's try something kind of similar to this, but like, because one thing that I particularly dislike about this approach is that we are using this kind of high-level split iterator with a split inclusive, and it's like, yeah, we are being pretty, high-level, processing one thing at a time and blah blah, and then we're having this like very imperative thing inside of pushing things into a result and whatnot. And I think that like if we are going to go with an imperative approach, let's go all in with that and maybe try like let's have this same idea of a mutable result, but let's just go character by character and working with that, like good old for loop, and see how that goes. So if we go for each character in S chars, we can have we're gonna match that character, and we're gonna have something similar to where is the match in here? Yeah, to this match. Although we need to put these things into the onto the result. So if we have an L, we're gonna do res push turn left. Same idea as with the right. Turn right. Whoops. I think we can have something like, hey, digits. If digits, no, well, yeah, if is numeric, is numeric. What does is numeric do? For numbers. I think I want is ASCII digit if you want, yeah. So is ASCII digits. Then this is the interesting case, because this basically, if we are going character by character, this depends. When we see the first digit, like 1, it's like, okay, we can have 1, maybe push it into the array, but then when we see the 0, it's like, we don't push another 0 into the array. We should like either modify the last thing on the array or have like an accumulator here for the like an accumulator variable. But I think I would just ask if it is on the like if the last thing on this vector is a number, then we are going to modify that, and otherwise we are going to push a new one. So if results last, we can do an if let here, I guess. If it is some, oh well, we can do double pattern matching. If it's some advance of a number, then what are we going to do? We want to modify it, and I think there is a method last mute, which will give us a mutable number. Yeah. So we can do number equals, and here we are basically doing manual parsing, number plus 10 times 10 plus digit, because we live in a base 10 world. Else we're gonna push push advance digits, and this is missing an arrow. And yeah, here it's probably complaining because digit is a character, so digit to digit is, yeah, I mean, we already, is this what I want? Yeah. Oh, but you need a radix, so isn't there like U32 from ASCII, or like let's see if there is a from character, so from digit. Do you have something like this? Yes, you do. I'm not sure if this is what I want. Probably not, because I don't think that this is what I want, but let's try it. Pattern, yeah. If it is anything else, we are gonna do, probably we have already unexpected character, yeah. This is an okay error message. Sure, you're complaining about this, you're right. Does this run? Does this make any sense? No. Oh, we have the new line. Yeah. Should I ignore this new line, or should I just say, hey, string trim the end? Just trim it. It actually ran, but this is a different number, right? Yeah, surprisingly similar, but different. The test passes? What? Wait, what? What did we get here? I wonder now. Were we getting the okay? Yeah, no, before we were getting the correct answer, but now we don't. It's not off by much, but maybe it's missing some. It doesn't make sense to be missing, like, can we print this thing? Println instructions. It's probably going to complain because the instruction enum doesn't have doesn't implement debug. We can make it do so. Derive debug. That's not what I wanted to. Does it end with an advance of this? That seems like a very big number. No, it doesn't end in that. Turn right, and then it's 33. Like, where the hell did you get this huge advance? I made a stupid mistake, most likely, in this manual parsing thing. Oh yeah, the from is bogus. what do I want? I want to Rust convert digit to char digit to integer. Probably have already from digits. Do I need to use the 2-digit thing then? We can also do something like this, which is not bad. Sure. And there is more things, but I would have thought, oh, maybe isn't there a parse, like digits, like basically, well, no, it's not parse. That's it's weird that there is no parse for this. But yeah, from digits takes a base, so 2 digits. It's not amazing to do this. We need to wrap this. We can put this thing, yeah, call it digit again, but we are not going to do this. You don't like this because this should live in this scope. Okay, yeah, now it's better. Yeah, okay, this that's U32 from character was not correct. We can clean this. And now we are parsing this thing character by character. Although I'm not a fan of this, like how manual it is, I do like it better than this version. Yes. And there is something else I could try here. That is probably going to be simpler, much simpler, but maybe not as efficient. We can do, I was checking what like string replacement methods there exist. So like it would be really nice to just say, hey, split the string, like have a logic of saying at which points I want to split the string. You know, a split method that will take a function. This thing can take a function, but this function is just to match the delimiters. I would like better to say, hey, you know, this is the boundary of two things that I want to split it here. That would be ideal, but I didn't find any function that does that. I was checking a little bit of the string package, so I think I can do something like, no, not repeat, replace. We can replace the else with, for example, space, L space, and replace the writes in the same way, and then just use split, well, split white space, I guess we could use here, and use this iterator. And here we would have things split the way I want. But the problem with this, like what is like non-ideal, I guess, with this is that this replace has to return an own string. Like it has to allocate a new string to do this, which makes sense. The most, like the another way of doing this, I guess, could be saying, hey, like operate on chars and sort of do a flat map of those chars to these three characters when they match R or L, and then I don't know, like split the characters by white space. But again, I think on iterators there is no split method because that also sort of needs internal allocation. So I think this is the best I can do for now. Here I could also pass a pattern that says, hey, anything that is L or right. But the problem of doing this is I cannot refer, I think I cannot refer to, like there is no meta language or something to say, hey, replace it with this L or R, which is a shame. I'm not sure actually if that works or not. Let's try it out. If we print here, just debug print this. Split. And I think if we run it with test, I'm not going to see that because the tests do eat the standard output, but I think there is a no clover or something like that. Clover. How is clover spelled? Rust no clover option. No clover. Is this one? Rust, come on. Test, print, std out. Come on, Stack Overflow, help me out with exactly the thing that I want. No capture, that's what I wanted. Okay, yeah, no, this just replaces with a $sign. So let's not do that. Let's just have this thing. Oh wait, maybe let's just print just once since we already have this print here. This is the R replacement. We can have also the left replacement. So if we run now, yeah, you can see we have all the things split by a space. So we can now easily do, hey, you thing, yeah, split white space. And this thing we can already like map into something and collect into the result that we want. So let's leave it this thing commented to sort of be able to compare. But now we are mapping what are each of these things. I guess are substrings. Or we can even call these things token if we are fancy, like we are tokenizing. And we are gonna do again something similar to this. So we are gonna actually pretty similar to this match. That was the okay. We can have something like this. Token. This, and now actually it's not just a match. I guess I could try to parse it, and if it doesn't, Okay, yeah, this first cannot be because we need something like this. Can I ask here if num is no, not really. We would need to parse it. I think I would try to parse it and then like have an else and do the match there. So if let some number be the token parse, then it's going to be advance of that number. We're going to say return here. And otherwise, we are just doing this and recognize, yeah, and we can say, well, anything else, unexpected instruction token. And you don't like this because, oh, it's a result. So if it is okay to parse that token, all right. We are collecting, this should be the return. And I think that's it. Does this work? It does. And does this work on the actual inputs? It does. Okay, so I think this version is much more readable than any of the other two. It's maybe not, how do you say, like optimal. It's not optimal in the sense of memory use, but this is only done once, and I don't really care about like two little strings being created temporarily here. So I don't really mind at all. We can leave this, remove this to do. This is a better way of doing things, I think. I don't even care about how non-optimal this is. Okay, I think that's it. Is there anything else that I would like to change here? I think not. I think I'm okay with this tiles and with these enums and these types. I'm more okay with this code than I was before. And I think, yeah, this is in a pretty good shape as part one. So let's commit this. I think I'm going to also commit tests, although I'm not 100% sold in if this test is going to remain. Like when I try to tackle part two, we'll see if we can like solve part two for the sample input and also for our actual input, because maybe I'm going to do something like very ad hoc for my actual input and the test then will make no sense. But that's for future me. For now, let's commit this as day 22 part 1 solution. And well, let's push these changes, and I think that will be it for this video. If you haven't, thanks for watching, and see you next time. Bye bye.